right, gentlemen, what are you drinking there?
Budweiser.
Where did you get a Budweiser?
A random Falkland Islander decided that we needed one. I think it's way up the wilderness that if you see the jumpers and you can spare one, you will do that. I highly appreciate it. It is the motivation one needs for a hike like this.
Yes, indeed.
So after a wonderful dinner at Tony and Ilsa's place at Estancia, before Tony took us back out to the point he picked us up the day before, he showed us around the farm because it was shearing season, and we got to see a sheep be sheared. We got to see the wool that's produced and the things that happen on the farms in the Falklands. And it was really kind of fascinating. And then, like I said, took us back out, and we started the yomp on a very windy day.
Remind you of boot camp?
All right, we're back on the road again. The day before, we'd made about 10 kilometers from Teal towards Estancia for a total distance from those 2 points of 23 kilometers. So obviously we were a good chunk into the day when we started out this morning. So our third day would be our shortest day of actual yomping, but also in a way it'd be our toughest because there were gale force winds the whole time. And while it was at our back, it made for some interesting hiking for sure.
Oh, there's a sign too.
People who left it for us yesterday.
All right, so the fine folks of the Thane family have left us another cache of beer.
5 minutes.
All right, I have my 10 a.m. beer here, and while we're taking a short footrest break. So today we are finishing the leg of our hike, perambulation to Estancia. When we get there, I think we'll have some cool stuff to show you. Estancia is where we really start to get more of the actual events of the war happening compared to Douglas and San Carlos. Well, not San Carlos, but compared to Douglas and Teal. So It is stupidly windy out today. Fortunately, most of that is a tailwind for us, which is pretty darned awesome. But we're gonna finish up a snack and foot break and get back on the road.
When we stopped for lunch, the wind definitely made things a bit challenging, and we had to find what windbreaks we could so all our lunch didn't blow away. After lunch, it was time to walk some more. With the next rest stop, the wind had really picked up. At certain times while we were walking, you had like a 5-degree list of port because the wind was so strong, and it felt like it was going to blow you and your pack off the road when it wasn't exactly at your back.
All right, it is extremely windy up here. I've got my microphone tucked inside my jacket, and it's still extremely windy up here. We have just come up over the top of the last big hill before Estancia, and you can actually see it way down there in the distance. I'll highlight it on the video if I can. And the British troops coming up over this mountain had to have seen it and gone, oh, thank goodness, we're almost there, not realizing that distance is very difficult to judge in the Falklands because there's just nothing to give you a sense of scale. And in fact, we are about 10 miles away from Estancia farm at this point. And what's worse for the British troops is there's a big long inlet, river, creek tidal inlet thing that you'll see as we get closer. But we are taking the road over there. The British had to hike almost all the way to that range of hills in order to get past the water before they could turn left and head into Estancia. So definitely would have been a bit of a demoralizing experience for them, I would expect, especially considering the wind and the cold and all of the aforementioned awful weather conditions.
This causeway came in mighty handy because during the conflict in '82, the Paras and Marines would have had to walk all the way around the long way around this body of water to get to Estancia, adding several clicks to their trip.
All right, Les, while we are sitting here applying much moleskin to our feet, what are we looking at over on the other side?
We're looking at the Wallow Hills. This is the site of a pretty significant battle, the only daylight battle of the Falkland campaign. The mountain Arctic warfare cadre of the Royal Marines was brought on board the 3 Commando Brigade to act as a forward reconnaissance element for the brigade. So all these students got to have their final exam in the Falklands.
Oh, what fun! How appropriate. How very practical.
But all their teams were out, and they had cornered an Argentine special forces unit and found that it was staying in a place called Top Hollow House. And knowing what the movements were of the Commando Brigade, the leader of the Mountain Arctic Warfare Cadre decided he had to take this place down. And when he realized the timetable, when he talked to headquarters, he realized he had to do it on the spot. So they knew they had the Argentines cornered in the house, and they were pretty confident the Argentines did not know they were there. So they set up basically an L-shaped ambush on the house. Leader initiated the flares, and they just pumped the house full of laws and automatic rifle fire. And eventually the Argentines tried to make a breakout, which was a bad idea. That's where they took the majority of their casualties. And in the end, I think it was a 14 or 15-man Argentine unit, half killed, half captured.
And we showed Top Hollow House, but it did not survive the battle and it was never rebuilt.
It is ash now. From what I understand, talking to people, the only thing that remains Yes.
Just because we made it to the gate at Estancia Farm didn't mean we still didn't have a ways to go to get to the actual farm.
All right, we are approaching our final destination for today. This is Estancia. Zoom in, you can see a settlement right there. And there's actually a fair amount that happened at Estancia. This is where we're starting to get into the real wartime events, more than just 45 Commandos Yomp. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's just get up there and get out of the wind first.
First thing we did when we got to the porter cabin was do some foot maintenance, and then we went and explored Estancia Farm. First thing we went to check out was the memorial to Sergeant Ian Hunt of the SBS. Unfortunately, he died in a blue and blue incident between the SAS and the SBS. In addition to being the greatest host in the world and feeding us to the point that we were stuffed beyond belief, Tony and Ilsa have a massive collection of memorabilia from the war since they literally lived it. And one of the neat things they have here are these recon photographs. These were given to 3 para to plan their missions. And apparently when the paras departed Estancia, they literally left these on the kitchen room table. And Tony and Ilsa have preserved them ever since then, which I find really fascinating because this is a real touchstone of the war and just real documents that you get to take a look at. And it's just fascinating because you're not going to see it anywhere else. Also preserved at Estancia Farm are the fighting positions set up by 3 para. 42 years later, they're still there. The interesting thing about these fighting positions is 3 para was at Estancia for about 11 days, and they made these fighting positions in the Stone Run, which is a great idea. It made a great lazy W, but it's amazing that these positions are so well preserved, especially when you see the Argentine positions on Mount Harriet. This field right here was used by the British at Estancia Farm as a forward arming and refueling point for the light helicopters such as the Gazelles and Scout helicopters. Tony at Estancia Farm is a bit of a history buff and amateur military enthusiast, and he has maintained lots of periodicals from the time detailing exactly what happened there at Estancia. It's a wealth of knowledge. Additionally, Tony has collected so much stuff off the battlefield that his porch is literally a museum in and of itself, and it's well worth the time to go see and check out everything he's accumulated over the years. We hope you're enjoying our coverage of the recreation of the Great Yomp. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in next week for Part 4.